Hi there, and good Memorial Day weekend to you. I'm Neil Gordon. You know, there's thousands of traffic accidents each year across Georgia and South Carolina. Many of them occur on holiday weekends just like this one. After an accident, it's sometimes difficult to figure out what your legal options are regarding your injuries and the damage to your vehicle. So what if it isn't clear who was at fault, and what if the other driver just didn't have any insurance? Is there a time limit for filing your claim? Well, if you have any questions about traffic accidents, we invite your calls. We're going to take your questions live at 803-442-4551. First, we want to tell you what's coming up on the docket in the month of June. We'll explore DUIs on June the 3rd and then June the 10th, summertime injuries on June the 17th, in honor of Father's Day, Grandpa, and the law. Well, joining us this week from the Vic Hawk Law Firm, of course, is Vic Hawk. And first of all, we want to say just a good Memorial Day weekend to everyone, and thanks so much to all of those who've served. You know, we even take freedom of the press for granted. We're able to be able to put together this program and invite participation.
And they gave it all to us.
Yeah.
So we wish you a great Memorial Day on behalf of everyone, including our staff. I want to have a little opportunity to say hello to some good friends of mine. They're at Curly World. I was there this weekend, and especially my good friend Wade from Ohio, who traveled all the way down. He's 14 years old, and he treated me pretty bad in ping pong today. He beat me pretty bad. But just to say hello to everyone. Tonight we're going to talk about hit and runs, and I brought on one of my favorite lawyers. He's young, aggressive civil trial lawyer who is just a great person as well, and I'm very lucky to have him on our staff, and that's Reed Sanders. Reed, can you tell our viewers what they need to do in the event they're a victim of a hit and run, and how are they protected even if the guy gets away?
Okay. Well, you've all seen the movies. The first thing, if you can, get the license plate number. That's not always real easy. So if you can't do that, let's try to get some kind of make and model and the description of the vehicle. Obviously, the color. If there's any kind of distinguishing features, some cars have these fancy lights or a streak down the side or whatever. So if there's anything distinguishable about the car, make sure you know what that is. Also, look around and see if there's any witnesses. And if there are any witnesses, talk to them. See if they saw the vehicle, know anything about the vehicle, even if they may even know the person who drove the vehicle. And then, obviously, call the police. But if the person does get away and you can't track him down and you don't have enough information to find them, we've talked about it a lot on the show before, but the main thing to have to cover you is uninsured motorist coverage. Because with that, if the person gets away or even if the person is there and doesn't have insurance, you're going to have some kind of coverage to protect you.
All right, well, thank you, Reed. We have our first caller of the evening. You may have actually just answered the question, but we want to say hi to Joe from North Augusta, a friend of the program. How are you, Joe?
Hey, how are y'all?
Great.
Well,
what I've got is, I'm sorry. What I've got is a situation where I came out of the college one night after closing the building down, and in the process, I walked over to my car and discovered that somebody had backed into the driver's door. And no notice, no nothing, and I'm the only one in the parking lot at the time. There was no note on the windshield or anything. I'm just wondering, is this an understeer motorist activity? Is this something I go back to the school with? What do I do with it?
Joe, did it happen in Georgia or South Carolina?
Georgia.
Georgia. Joe, the answer to your question is that you can file, because it is physical damage to your car, you can file it under your uninsured motorist coverage, and you can choose between the two whether you want to file it under your collision coverage or your uninsured motorist coverage. I choose the one with the smaller deductible, and it's a very common occurrence. That's basically what your option is in light of the guy getting away. Where you have the situation where you don't have any damage to the car, like say for example if you were going down the interstate and somebody like a big truck runs you off the road, changes lanes and runs you off the road, you do have to have an independent witness to verify that if there's no contact between the vehicles, but then you're still protected under your uninsured motorist coverage, which is exactly why we tell everybody to get it when you take out your automobile insurance coverage, because it covers that kind of situations and avoids that guy mayhem.
That's right.
From Allstate, right?
That's right.
The Mayhem Man,
Yeah.
that's right. Well, we want to continue to take your telephone calls on this Memorial Day weekend. The telephone number up on the screen, 803-442-4551. And I want to follow up a little bit on what you said. I think my bride may be watching, and whenever we travel, she cringes at 18-wheelers to the left or
Yeah.
18-wheelers to the
Yeah.
right. And I mean, that really is a little bit scary. And
Yeah.
I mean, they're big rigs. They are big trucks.
That's right.
Are there protections in place for folks like us driving the regular little old SUVs?
Well, I'll
Go ahead.
talk a little bit about it. One of the things that is a little bit more protection than normal is that they're going to have more insurance coverage than a normal vehicle would have. So an 18-wheeler or something is going to have more than probably the standard $25,000 minimum that we could get by with. Also, if it's an 18-wheeler, you're going to have a situation where there's probably more than one vehicle. They're probably working for a company, so you may be able to pierce the corporate veil and get into that company's insurance as well. So you got a lot more coverage than just a normal person would have.
Providing you're okay after
providing you're
right.
any
And
situation.
that's why we say it's very important that if you have a hit and run situation or a situation where you've been run off the road, that you identify witnesses, because people are going to come up and check on you and say, "Are you all right?" Those persons are the very persons that saw it happen, and you don't know the legalese of it. And if you fail to get that witness's name, phone number, or name and address, then you lose your coverage. It happened to my own daughter, and she's on a stretch of I-20 and run off the road by a tractor trailer, and she had no witnesses because she just didn't get their names and phone numbers. Where she did, if she had done that, she would have had a lot of coverage to protect her and her family from the property damage as well as her own injuries.
Well, we want to explore more about traffic accidents this holiday weekend. If you've ever been in one, or if you have a question about a claim, we've got a pair of attorneys that will give you a little bit of advice and answer your questions. No charge whatsoever on Memorial Day weekend. We invite you to call us at 803-442-4551. You're watching News 12 Law Call.
Generally speaking, there are three types of evidence that a police officer will consider and gather in a DUI investigation. Your general behavior as observed by the officer may include erratic driving, slurred speech, or the smell of alcohol on your breath or in the car. Field sobriety tests include exercises like asking you to walk a straight line, stand on one leg, or say the alphabet backwards. Chemical tests may check your breath or blood for alcohol. You can't be forced to take any of these tests, but refusing can result in harsh consequences. Your license may be suspended, or your refusal may be used as evidence against you in court. What's the best way to avoid a DUI arrest? That's easy. Don't drink and drive. That's your legal brief for tonight. I'm personal injury attorney Melissa Detchmandy of the Vic Hawk Law Firm. Back to you.
Thank you, Melissa, and that's just really a taste of the advice we'll get next week. We're going to explore DUI for the full half hour next Sunday night. We want to get right back to the telephones. Joyce from Augusta has been waiting through the break. Joyce, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good, good. Share with us a little bit about, I guess, some damage that happened to your car.
Well, it's actually not my car, it's my dad's. And there was no damage. He pulled into a parking space, got out the car, went into the restaurant, etc., etc. Well, the man in the car next to him accused him of hitting his car with his car door and making a chip come off of it. Well, my dad's car door never touched the man's car. And now he's just accusing him and harassing him. He didn't call any police or anything. He's just going to his house because he knew him, and he's verbally harassing him.
Well, that's kind of a difficult question, I guess, to answer. But if he didn't hit it, then he didn't hit it. If the neighbor hasn't brought anything to claim against your dad, then he doesn't really have anything to defend yet. But if he does bring something, either a small claims court type of deal, then he could bring you in and you could be a witness and show that or tell that he didn't hit the vehicle and that kind of thing. And then a judge would, probably not award anything because you would have proof that no accident occurred. Besides that, I guess if he's bothering your dad, then you could get a restraining order. But that would be something, in the criminal field. But other than that, I don't think there's a lot of options because nothing else has really happened besides just him accusing.
And in addition to that, your dad's insurance company would provide you a civil defense, and they would pay for your lawyer to defend that claim. So you still have that available to you. And I think we got another call.
Yeah, from Mrs. Daniels, actually, in Augusta, who endured an accident back in March. Mrs. Daniels, what's your question as a result of your accident?
Hello.
Hi.
My question is, like I said, I was involved in that accident in March, and of course my car was totaled. The other party was charged with the accident, and I am working with the insurance company of the other party in order to substantiate my claim. And my question is, should I haggle with the adjuster about what I feel is a fair price for that accident for me?
Ms. Daniels, very simply, you have to pursue the claim based on what has occurred to you. And if you have a property damage claim, you need to establish what the fair market value of your car is. You can go to Kelley Blue Book in a DA to establish a fair market value. If you've added items to your car that would increase the value, you should have receipts for that, and the adjuster will consider that. If you have a personal injury claim, you should never settle your personal injury claim until you've completed all of your medical treatment and you know that there's nothing else that can be done for you. Time and time again, we see individuals try to represent themselves and they accept very small amounts from insurance companies to just resolve the claim. When they do, they find out later on, 6 to 8 months down the road, what they thought was just a nagging pulled muscle turns out to be a herniated disc, and there's $60,000, $70,000 in medical bills to pay. You asked us if you should haggle with the insurance company. Don't ever agree to accept something that's less than what you're entitled to. And if you don't think you're being treated fairly, you definitely need to get to a trial lawyer to help you out to properly present it to the insurance company and make them pay what they should pay.
I know probably the personal injury claim is a little more complicated because of your health, and it's how do you figure pain and suffering and all that.
That's right.
With the actual automobile damage, I mean, is it incumbent upon you to go get estimates to see how much damage is involved, or what's the process in that?
Sure, I'll take one. This is a continuation of what you're talking about. One of the things I want to say is that just because they say your vehicle is worth X doesn't mean that that's actually what it's worth. If you believe that your vehicle is worth more than that, if they give you a quote and say we're only going to give you $2,000 and you believe it's worth more, then show them that it's worth more. Like Vic said, go to Kelley Blue Book, get some printouts, show that the market value of your vehicle is more than that, and then that's how you haggle with them. But have something to back it up. But to answer Ms. Daniels' question, yes, you can haggle with them if you have evidence, and just because they say this is all we're going to give you and this is all it's worth, that's not the end of it. You can still haggle and still get that price up.
What if the Blue Book value is $3,000 and the damage is $3,000 or $2,000 or $4,000? How do you?
Well, that's kind of when the totaling your car comes into play. You know, the Blue Book of your car may be worth $2,000, and to fix your car it might take $10,000. So they're only going to give you $2,000 because that would be to the replacement value of your vehicle.
I'd rather have the 10 though.
Yeah, I mean, we all would, but unfortunately, they only give you the replacement value.
Darn it. Well, we're going to answer more of your questions on the other side of the break. Remember, our topic this holiday weekend, traffic accidents, 803-442-4551. You're watching News 12 Law Call. If you have any questions you'd like answered off air, perhaps tomorrow, or maybe a few folks floating around on the holiday, or certainly Tuesday at one of several offices of Vic Hawk Law Firm, you can reach Vic, Reed Sanders, or Melissa Detchmendy. The main number, 706-722-3500. You can also go online and ask questions for the next law call at vichawklaw.com. And we're rejoined by Vic Hawk and Reed Sanders. Our topic tonight, traffic accidents on this holiday weekend. And we're pleased to welcome into the program Eddie from Augusta. Hello, Eddie. How are you?
Okay, how are you, sir?
Oh, terrific. What is your question tonight for Reed or Vic?
It's concerning punitive damages, and what are they, first of all, and what do you have to do to qualify for them?
Yeah, that's a good question, Eddie. Punitive damages are designed to deter future conduct of the nature that led to your injury. For example, you were struck by someone causing you serious injury in a wreck, and they have 3 prior DUIs and they're DUI when this occurs. Punitive damages are awarded to deter them from doing that again in the future. Or say, for example, your mom is going to a hotel and there's constantly water draining from the air conditioner windows across the walkway, and your mom falls and breaks her hip. And there's several of them like that at the premises, and they've had other people fall many times before for the same problem. Punitive damages would be awarded to deter the conduct. Or say, for example, if you have an apartment complex and they have a lot of crime in the area, but they fail to provide security for their tenants, and someone is broken into and seriously injured or raped, then in that circumstance, punitive damages may deter that conduct in the future when the apartment complex was on notice that there was a potential problem like this to occur, and they failed to do anything. So that's, if you have the egregious circumstances, you can get the punitive damages, and you should.
Is that something, Vic or Reed, that an attorney in front of a judge might ask for, may look into the folks that you're going against, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, you certainly look into it. It doesn't apply in most situations, but at the beginning of any kind of case, you're going to look and see what's there. As Vic was just talking about, in punitive damages, it's going to be a higher standard than your normal negligence. And how you kind of got to look at it is, if it's happened before and it's happened numerous times, and they should have known about it and they should have put a stop to it and still didn't put a stop to it, and because they didn't put a stop to it, somebody got hurt. By doing that, that's more than just your common accident and negligence. That's something that has to be stopped, and that's why punitive damages exist.
And Vic, that's kind of on the trial phase, but if you kind of go back to the beginning when something first happens and you have to look at what the damage of a vehicle is and so forth, it's probably not always a good idea to just go it alone with the insurance adjuster.
Oh, no, it's not a good idea at all, whether it be a wreck or any other civil claim. We have a claim that came into the office recently where a person was shot on a premises, and then we start doing our work and our investigation, and we find 232 prior complaints of criminal activity at that location, and no security provided for the customers. Don't do that.
Wow, goodness gracious. Well, we'll have time for another call if someone at home would like to chime in. Our number is 803-442-4551, 803-442-4551. Like that. Mary called in from North Augusta in an accident a few years ago. And Mary, what is the latest as a result of your accident?
Well, after I originally got in the car accident, my vehicle was totaled by an out-of-state driver from North Carolina. Originally, the insurance company wanted to give me significantly less on a 9-day-old car that I hadn't even made my first payment on. So I did haggle with them a bit. I was able to get the car replaced. But over a year, coming up on 2 years later, I've had 3 surgeries. My left knee, I have permanent numbness. From the surgery, actually, is random, but the numbness, they were trying to fix something on the opposite side of the same knee. I've had 2 wrist surgeries, and I have permanent nerve damage on the right wrist as a result of the airbag. And when I originally met with a lawyer, They told me they couldn't deal with the car part because they were only personal injury, and I would have to do that separately. So I did get that resolved on my own. But then they were saying I would be walking away with the $8,000 payment, and that was before I had even had my surgeries done. So I went ahead and completed the surgeries, and at this point, the doctors released me. They've done a permanent impairment rating, and I'm left with the results of after surgery, which seems to be about even with before the surgery. Although I do have better movement and range of motion, I still have nerve damage.
Did it happen in Georgia or South Carolina?
It happened in South Carolina.
Okay.
Reed?
Well, first thing is it's South Carolina has a 3-year statute, so that's good. We gotta file that pretty quick. But I would suggest that you talk to a personal injury attorney quickly to get this to be filed, because it sounds like you got serious injuries and you're going to have to find some insurance to cover it. And I think that's going to be the biggest issue is if there's not a lot of insurance, we got to find it.
Thank you, Reed, as well as Vic, and we hope everyone has a terrific Memorial Day ahead. Next Sunday, we'll be back to take your questions on DUI. Bye, everyone.
Thank y'all for calling.